Let's do this one last time.
Changing mags.
What's up YouTube, Anthony Online here back with another video, and today we're talking about X Defiant. And the one thing on everyone's mind is X Defiant the Call of Duty killer? And honestly, probably not, especially not financially, but I think they are kind of on the right path of becoming a Call of Duty competitor if they do things right. Now, if you are unfamiliar, X Defiant is kind of the Ubisoft response to Call of Duty and using more of the Ubisoft universes to create this first-person shooter game. Now, I'm not going to go into any detail about all the delays and the development history because I don't know all of that and I don't really care about that. I only care about the core gameplay experience. And while I played a few hours on this game both on PS5 and Xbox Series X, I do have some thoughts that I want to share, both good and negative. And I gotta say this right off the beginning. I am not a first person shooter expert. I am terrible at these games. I do not do very well with those games. So if my gameplay looks like I'm terrible, that's why. Now, I gotta say that while I do not enjoy Call of Duty anymore, like I used to have some fun with it, and it's got to a point where it's now really, really annoying, as well as that massive hard drive space that it takes up on your console. X Defiant was a bit more fun for me, and there's a few reasons why. One of which is the basically the fact that they're using the Ubisoft universe to create these different characters with different abilities that you can use in battle. And the good thing about it is these abilities are on a limited time, and if they have some comparison to Call of Duty, it feels less cheap. One example I can give off memory is a riot shield. There is one class that specifically has a riot shield that is limited on a time for when you can use it and when it recharges. Unlike Call of Duty, where you can just equip a riot shield and use it to be a punk ass bitch hiding behind your shield, absorbing all the damage and then going with your knife kill. Here, it's a limited time, so you don't feel like they're being cheap or cheating on you. And that's pretty good. You do have other abilities like being able to see through walls for a limited time, being able to use a flamethrower, which is really powerful, slow to move, but a really powerful flamethrower. And you even have an ability that lets you use camouflage and turn invisible. That one is not as great in my opinion, just kind of a gimmick or trick or whatever. It just doesn't work as well in my opinion. But aside from that, you do have a few different modes, different game types, such as your domination, your escort type, just to name a couple of them. And there was said to be quite a few maps available at launch. I've only been through like maybe 3 or 4 maps total out of the maybe I think 19 maps were mentioned or so, around that number. So I don't know what's happening with the map rotation, but what is interesting is that because they are using Ubisoft universe games and characters, they do have the maps from those different universes as well. One of which is the Watch Dogs version of Google called Noodle. There's a Noodle campus that you can explore. I believe there's one focused on the Division, and then one I guess would be focused on Splinter Cell, and then one for Far Cry. And I don't know what other maps are in the game because, as I said before, the rotation has been bad and I haven't seen all the maps available. But from what I've seen so far, they are pretty interesting, very unique to each location because they are unique to each of the universe that exists in the game, and that's pretty awesome. As for gameplay, the characters move pretty great. Unlimited sprinting, which is pretty good in my opinion. Your character doesn't get tired. You can slide and jump like you would in, I guess, Halo and other games. Sliding has been mentioned to be a bit of a cheat because you can slide and jump in different directions and change direction mid-slide, and people are taking advantage of that. I don't think it's more so of cheating. I think it's more so of skill. If you have the skill, by all means. If you don't, then I guess get the skill, right? Aside from that, you do have some choices that I think was a bit weird. Like your character can crouch, but they cannot prone on the ground, which is kind of weird. But just a small nitpick that I wanted to add there as well. Now, in terms of gameplay with weapons and the shooting, that's the main part of a shooter, right? How's the guns and the weapons? So far, pretty solid for the most part, except for a couple of issues. Damage seems to be all over the place. Sometimes you will obliterate an enemy just real quickly, and sometimes you take a lot of damage on the enemy for them to get killed. There's ways that or moments where you will be behind cover and they would just shoot through that cover no matter how hard the cover is, and you would just die. Kind of like the hitboxes are all over the place, not very structured or a very accurate hitbox in the game. Sniping is by far one of the most broken things ever because you can take a substantial amount of damage, as I mentioned previously, and just quick scope your enemy and, move on to the next enemy. I've tried sniping. I'm still not good with sniping in terms of aiming, but I've had a couple of good, shots, one-shot kills with the sniper rifle, and that's pretty exciting when you get those moments. As for other weapons, I primarily use a shotgun or an assault rifle. Shotguns are pretty interesting, at least the basic ones. I have all the basic level weapons. I haven't gotten any other weapons unlocked, but with the base shotgun, I can sometimes get those kills, and sometimes I don't, as I normally would in any first-person shooter game. Assault rifle seems to be my default. I can get the kills with the assault rifle. I can do pretty good with that. And then you also have some different weapons to your arsenal, like a grenade as your primary, throwable item, and then you have a different secondary that could be something along the lines of a shield that will be able to protect you and your teammates for a temporary amount of time. Something like a flashbang. There's one for a specific class that will set the ground on fire, so any enemy who walks on it will burn. So stuff like that is pretty cool. And then each one has their own unique ability that you can unlock as you start earning kills and getting points on your team. One of which is that flamethrower I mentioned earlier. It's very powerful, but it takes a long time to charge up. And there's one where you get a much bigger shield around you, specifically like a dome shield, basically, and it protects you all around. But of course, enemies can just walk through the shield and kill you from the inside, so you got to be careful with that. So these are the abilities that I felt were really cool and interesting, kind of, I guess, similar to the different perk packages in Call of Duty. Whenever you get one of those kill streak perks, kind of like that in a way, but different. You're not going to see really airstrikes here, at least not yet. You're not going to see dogs running around the map. You're not going to see like missiles flying into the ground. So that's pretty good in terms of like a difference in pace, in my opinion. You will also have that whole feeling of running around with your head cut off like a chicken, Call of Duty feeling, and you can also get a bit of a team vibe, not so much like Battlefield, like previous Battlefield, like Battlefield 4 and 5 and 1. You're not gonna have that team base feeling in this game, but you can kind of feel like a team if you cooperate with your team and talk to them and try to come together to achieve your goal. But aside from that, there's not really much else that I can really talk about with the game that I really had any problems with, other than there's no Assassin's Creed characters in the game, or characters based off Assassin's Creed. Maybe they would be added later on. I understand they don't really use guns like that, but they could maybe do something with them in terms of moving silently and they take more damage and die quicker, kind of like to balance out the positive and the negatives of choosing that class. Maybe have the hidden blade as a weapon or a special ability. That would be pretty cool to use. And I just want to see where they go further with this game, because I'm not a big Ubisoft fan, but they do have an interesting universe of games at their disposal. Assassin's Creed, Splinter Cell, Watch Dogs, the Tom Clancy games, they're all very interesting and all unique in their own ways. And the fact that they can get them all into this one first-person shooter experience is pretty cool in my opinion. And I want to see more game modes added to X Defiant that will help expand on the gameplay so far, help you have more replay value, more things to do. But as of now, there is quite a bit you can do and a lot of fun you can have. One thing in particular that I felt was really cool is when you get killed by an enemy, although there's no kill cam, and maybe they'll add it soon, but there is an option to send like a specific emoji to that person, whether you were happy about it or you're upset or you're sad. And that's pretty funny in my opinion, just a way to be more communicating with your players, whether it's on your team or your enemy team. And I just thought it was a pretty cool idea. Nothing too major, it's just a quick simple thing, but the game is free to play, so you have no reason not to try it. It's not going to take over like 100 gigabytes of hard drive space. It's not as big as Call of Duty, so you should give it a try if you are a first-person shooter player, or you're interested in the you like the Ubisoft games and you like that universe, the Ubisoft universes. I say give X Defiant a chance, give it a shot. No pun intended. I think it was pretty fun to experience, and of course, there's a lot more to say from the more experienced players who know more about guns and the hitboxes and the damage and all that stuff. I'm not an expert. I don't know anything about that stuff. All I know is I hate first-person shooters, but I had some fun with this game, and I want to play with my friends and see how they enjoy the game too. Maybe do like a co-op thing. There is cross-play, so be mindful of that. You might get players who are much better than you. That is one thing I want to mention, is the way that they put players together, the matchmaking. I did see one option that would matchmake you with people of similar play level and skill level, but I end up also being paired up with enemies who are much better than me and much higher skill than me. I don't know if it's an issue with the game or they felt that I was on their level, which I clearly was not, but matchmaking has been a little bit wonky, but I have no problems getting into a match either. Getting into a match doesn't take too long, maybe a minute or two, and it's just fluent and it works. So that's my thoughts on X Defiant. Not so much a review, just a bit of a first impressions, what I think about X Defiant so far, and I think you should give it a try. Just don't pay into the microtransactions because that's the Ubisoft bullshit. But let me know in the comments if you've been trying X Defiant, what you like about it, what you don't like about it. Let's chat about it in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. My name is Anthony Olan. Thank you guys for watching so much, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace out.